Welcome to Oyate Today. Oyate in Lakota means people. Brought to you by Native Sun News Today. Hi, welcome to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Oyate Today is produced by Tim and Jackie Gallego. Tim is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Our guest tonight is Mrs. Gayle Thom, retired victim specialist for the FBI, and thank you so much for being here tonight, ma'am.
Thank you, Richie. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our tribal resource tool.
Definitely, and this is going to be a good discussion. I'm proud and honored for you to be here tonight, so thank you so much. Okay, Mrs. Thom, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of familiarize our audience with who you are, please?
I am retired, as you said, from the FBI as a victim specialist. For 10 years, I was privileged to respond to violent crime scenes in our tribal communities here in South Dakota and assist the victims of those crimes then through the investigation and through the prosecution phase of the justice system. And prior to that, I worked with methamphetamine enforcement for several years here in South Dakota with the high-intensity drug trafficking program. And then before that, I worked criminal intelligence for 12 years.
Sure, I bet you've seen a lot on our reservations and our communities, unfortunately.
Some of the most beautiful vistas in the world, and also some very violent crime. Unfortunately, no segment of our society is immune to violence.
So were you specifically assigned, or was that your, I don't know how to say it, but like your area was tribal communities then?
That is primarily FBI jurisdiction here in South Dakota. I was on a couple of nationwide teams, our evidence response team and our victim assistance response team. And so consequently, I worked some nationwide situations like the Red Lake school shooting in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
I worked Ground Zero after 9/11, Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana and New Orleans, some situations like that by virtue of being on the nationwide teams.
Wow, so you've been all over.
Well,
Definitely, yeah.
One of the, probably though, I've been very blessed in my career, but probably one of the most important things I've done professionally is getting to respond to the crime scenes in our tribal communities.
How has that impacted your life then? Do you have a special heart for those communities now, or how does that?
Absolutely. Some of the relationships that you form in those situations don't go away. They continue on. And in working on the Rosebud, I got to be instrumental in setting up the Child Advocacy Center there and starting our sexual assault response team there and working in collaboration with the other programs there to get those started. You develop relationships that do affect your life and that do continue on. I still consider Alicia Dixon Boyd a sister to me, and working with Matt Tucker at the law enforcement training there on the Rosebud, those are things that do always impact your life.
And even though you're retired from the FBI now, you're still continuing to work. What's your current position now then?
Thank you for asking. I am currently employed by the National Center for Victims of Crime on a project called the Tribal Resource Tool, and it's funded by the Office for Victims of Crime through Department of Justice.
Why is this program necessary?
It's in response to the problem of violent crime in our tribal communities, and not only, depending on whose statistics that you use, American Indian, Alaska Native violent crime is always higher than the other statistics that you will see. So consequently, it's important for those victims of those crimes to have access to services to help them rebuild their lives. And that's what the Tribal Resource Tool does. It's an online mapping system that people can just go on the website and search a certain area or a certain crime type and pull up resources, programs that can help them recover from the victimization.
Sure, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but I kind of just want to know from your perspective, from your career and your experience, why is the victimization rates higher, from your opinion or your background, I guess? Why are they higher on our reservations and in our tribal communities? Why is there a higher rate of victimization there?
That's a difficult question, and probably everybody that you ask will give you a different answer to
Sure.
that question. And I don't take it upon myself to answer that honestly, because again, no segment of our society is immune. Every segment of our society has violent crime. Unfortunately, whenever I was working with FBI, about half of my caseload consistently over 10 years were child abuse cases, either child sexual abuse or child physical abuse. The next 25% of my caseload were the assaults that rose to the federal level. And whatever the cause is, it's so important that we have the services available for those victims to help rebuild their lives and find a new normal in their lives afterwards.
Definitely, and that's what we're here to discuss tonight. So yes, thank you so much. Tell me about the Tribal Resource Tool then. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
You can tell I'm passionate about it.
Definitely.
We have developed, we used a lot of what we call stakeholder input. We went to at least 25 different national conferences. We've had numerous webinars and person-to-person visits, phone calls to get input on what our tribal members wanted this to look like. And one of the things that they asked for is to be sure that we had services available in the Tribal Resource Tool that would help all ages of victims, from the children through the elders. They also asked that we be sure to have services in there that are available to help with all types of crime. And then they asked too for a safety feature, which we have. If you're online on our website and searching and you need to get out, there's an escape button that you can get out and it won't leave the trail of where you've been.
So that's a hidden feature within this that kind of protects in case one of the victimizers comes up, finds their laptop open, tablet open, phone open, and they will not be able to tell that they've been looking in for these resources then.
That's true.
That's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Who are the partners for this program then? Who's been partnering with you to get this, I mean, not with you, but with the program to get this off the ground and get it up and running?
We have really been excited to get to work with Strong Hearts Native Helpline, National Congress of American Indians, Tribal Law and Policy Institute are the primary partners that we've all worked together to develop the Tribal Resource Tool.
Is there a website for this currently then?
There is, tribalresourcetool.org, and you can just Google that or put that in your browser and pull it up.
And so how long has this been available then?
We've just launched it on December the 5th, so we're still in the infancy stages of getting it fully populated.
When you say fully populated, what does that mean exactly?
That's an excellent question. I use that term frequently, and what it means is to get every service that's available to American Indians and Alaska Native victims of crime, to get them in our database so that they show up on the map whenever a victim or a service provider goes to the website and looks at the map. They can pull up these services, and whenever we have it fully populated, that will mean that we have every service that provides help for American Indians and Alaska Natives.
So could you tell me, how does this tool meet the needs of American Indians and tribal members, and both on and off the reservations, correct?
Correct,
Yes.
for the urban areas as well as the tribal communities. It's an easy to access way to find out what the resources are that are available for help, to help them rebuild their lives after victimization or after abuse.
And this is available for all types of victimization then?
Yes, it is.
Could you kind of give us a list of what types of victimization that we're talking about then? I assume child abuse, sexual abuse. Is elder abuse included in this then?
Elder abuse is also included. Right now, one that we find that's being searched frequently is sex trafficking, human trafficking. Stalking is another one that's available, the domestic violence, the sexual assault. About any type of crime that occurs, you can search our database and find help.
Do you think that with the access or with the use of social media, do you think that increases like victimization then? And when we're talking about stalking and harassment and all this, do you think that plays a role in some of this?
Unfortunately, it does. It can be a benefit. We can use it to get education out, awareness about victimization and about help that's available, but it can also contribute to the crimes themselves. It makes, as you said, the harassment and the stalking much easier to do than it once was.
That's shocking, definitely. Mrs. Thom, we're going to take a break, but let's hear a little bit more about this. This is really interesting. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Native Sun News has been voted the best weekly newspaper in its class for 2015 by the South Dakota and North Dakota Newspaper Associations. You can find a copy of the Native Sun News at many businesses and vending machines in Rapid City and the surrounding area, and on all 9 reservations. We publish every Wednesday, so advertisers and subscribers can reach our diverse readership by calling 605-721-1266. The Native Sun News covers the other side of the story.
You can't predict life's ups and downs. You just give it all you've got to stay on top. But it's easier with a partner like Security First Bank. Since 1898, we've been riding with you through the country's biggest ups and downs. And this is where we'll stay. Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on. Member FDIC.
I have a dream. I want to be a soldier. I have a dream. I want to be a construction worker.
You can help kids' dreams come true by donating to Rural America Initiative's Building Fund.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Mrs. Gayle Thom. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a good discussion. And I really do appreciate the work that you've done in your career, and especially for our tribal communities and tribal members. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Earlier you had mentioned that this program, this tribal resource tool, excuse me, let me make sure I get that right. This tribal resource tool is going to be available in an app. And why is that important? I know that we have to keep up with technology and move along at the speed of light as everything else is, but why is that important? Why should that be important for, say, a tribal member living in some of these isolated communities on the reservations or rural areas?
I believe it will make the tribal resource tool more available, the access easier if people can access it by an app.
Mm-hmm. And so this is pretty much a type of search engine then, basically. Mm-hmm. So somebody can go in and type in sexual abuse or child abuse or domestic violence, and in their area, I assume, or in their region, you'll have a number of resources or tools that will pop up that they can access and find resources for help or assistance in some way then.
That's exactly right. They can search either by area and crime type, or they can search just by an area for all crime types.
So are all 50 states involved in this program just now, or?
Yes, they are. We have, I think there are 7 or 8 states right now that we don't have any services listed. We're just in the phase of getting the tool populated, but the one that we have the most services listed for is California, and then Oklahoma, I believe, is second, and then South Dakota is third. But we have so much more work to do in getting programs to go online and enter themselves in so that they will show up on the map.
And that makes an interesting point, because if somebody's watching and they're working for a nonprofit or one of these service providers, they have the option of going online, going onto this website and entering their program onto the database, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a very appropriate time for us to be talking about this, because April is whenever we acknowledge crime victims' rights. And the theme this year for acknowledging crime victims' rights is honoring our past and hope for the future. And we've always honored our elders, honored our past, and I think the Tribal Resource Tool is part of that hope for the future, to have this resource available to people. But we do need people to go online. There's a simple form that they can fill out online. It takes maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most to fill it out, and then their program will pop up on the map when people search for assistance in their area.
And so how would that benefit a program or a service provider by being a part of this then? How would that help with what they're doing, I guess?
Well, it can help get their word out, awareness that they are there and that they are available to help. And they also, by filling out this form, can say what kind of services that they offer and what types of victimization that they have assistance for.
Mm-hmm. Is there any programs that offer assistance to victims that probably really should be on this then, as more than others, I would assume?
Absolutely. And right now for South Dakota, I think we only have 27 programs statewide.
On this program right now, 27. Well, we can really increase those numbers then.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Definitely. And they also have the opportunity in filling out the form to say what cultural services that they offer as a program and how they vet those services.
As far as like cultural services, and that would include spirituality, religion, all that stuff.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's amazing. That's really amazing program. Once again, you had mentioned there's a safety feature. There's an invisibility option with this on, say, somebody's computer, laptop, tablet, or phone. Why is that important then? You know, if some young woman, young man is putting in their information, trying to find help in some way, leaves their phone out, why is that important to have that invisible feature, safety feature?
Mm-hmm. It's an escape button that's on each page of the website, so that if it's clicked, then there won't be a tracking system to show where they were at or what they were viewing if they were looking for assistance for a particular type of crime. And that's important because if a perpetrator happens to still be in the area and happens to have access to the phone, they won't look then to see that this person was looking for help. It's a safety issue for the victim that was seeking help.
So it won't be in their search history or the website history that they've been. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Definitely. This tool has twofold purpose. What is those purposes then? What are those twofold purposes that this tool has?
Actually, the twofold purpose, and then I want to add another one with your permission.
Threefold purpose, yes.
It's primarily to help victims of crime, and then secondarily to help those service providers that are helping victims of crime, for them to be able to search and find additional resources for the individual that they're assisting. And then the third one that I'll add with your permission is that we do a gaps analysis, a data analysis once we get the tool fully populated, so that we can tell where the areas are that no services exist, because Office for Victims of Crime that fund the project have committed that once we get it fully populated and we identify where those gaps in services are, where there are no programs to help with certain types of crime, that they will funnel funding to those areas to help develop programs that are non-existent at this time.
In a way, it'll also identify those types of victimizations that are increasing in numbers as well, and more focus should be placed on those, correct?
That's exactly right. We can do the statistics from the website and tell what types of crime have been searched most often.
Do you see any gaps in our service currently then?
We really need to work on getting the tool fully populated so that we can tell more about that. We're already starting to do the gaps analysis, but we have a lot of work left to do on getting all of the programs entered into the program so they show up on the map.
I'm sure the response has been positive, but what has been some of the response that you've heard or some of the feedback that you've gotten from tribes or tribal leaders or tribal communities then on this program?
It's interesting that you ask that because it's easy to generate enthusiasm for the program. The feedback we've gotten, everybody loves the idea of having this available. What we are encouraging people to do is to translate that encouragement and that excitement into actually entering their programs into the map so that they are available.
And just one more time, give me that website again.
It's tribalresourcetool.org.
.org. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Thom. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
You can't predict life's ups and downs. You just give it all you've got to stay on top. But it's easier with a partner like Security First Bank. Since 1898, we've been riding with you through the country's biggest ups and downs. And this is where we'll stay. Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on. Member FDIC.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Being connected to him with the earth.
Positive pride. Pride of being Lakota. Look around you and look at your culture. Look at the people who care about you. There is hope. There is always hope. There will always be hope.
Suicide isn't the Lakota way. If someone you know needs help, please call 867-HOPE, a public service message from the Lakota Voice Project.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Mrs. Gayle Thom. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am. And your program and what you're doing for our tribal communities is really commendable. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that information with us. What are the next steps for this project then? What are the next steps, and where do you hope that this project or program goes in the future then? I mean, it's a valuable resource, a valuable tool for our communities, but where do you hope, in what direction would you like to see this going in?
Well, actually, right now we're working on developing a Facebook page to help get the word out, and also to use that as an educational tool on some of the different types of crime and on prevention. We also are going to be developing an app, as we've mentioned before, so that it will be more easily accessible to the different tribal members that might be wanting to search for resources. And the data analysis is a big piece of our future, to be able to get the information that we need to get services funded in areas where they don't exist at this time. And our primary goal, though, right now is to get it fully populated, to get the programs entered in that need to be entered into the Tribal Resource Tool.
I'm sure privacy plays a huge role in this for a victim or somebody that's been victimized in the past or present. Can they feel safe using this app then? Can a young woman, young man, or a person feel safe using this and make, just have that sense of privacy then with this?
That's an excellent question, and yes, I do believe that they can. We have built in the safety features, the escape button and so forth, so that they can feel comfortable using it whenever they need to.
So when you're doing your data analysis, it'll just come up as a 44-year-old male, Pine Ridge, looking for such and such service. That'll be a part of your data analysis then, kind of?
Actually, it won't identify quite that much to the age span. It'll just identify to the type of service that was searched and what area that was searched.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Who do you hope to reach with this show? You're on Oyate today, and who do you hope to reach, and who do you want to really kind of bring into what you're doing then?
Two different groups, and I really appreciate you asking that, because we want to get the word out to victims of crime that this is available and that they can search anywhere in the country for services that are available. Should they be relocating to a different area, or should they be looking for help here in this area? And then to service providers, we want to get the word out to them that this is available and that they can train their local law enforcement to use this tool with victims of crime. And if they're looking for services to help someone that they're assisting, or if they have a victim here that's getting ready to relocate to a different area, they can go ahead and search the new area and have some resources available for that victim whenever they arrive there.
Can children or young teens or youth use this as well?
Absolutely, anyone can. We do have services in there that are available for the entire age span, from children through elders.
Earlier you had mentioned that there's 27 service providers currently listed. We can increase that number, I'm sure. I'm sure there's probably 27 service providers just in Rapid City. So how would you encourage these service providers to come online and apply then?
Yes, it's a very simple process. On the home page, on the landing page of the website, you can either click to go on the map, or you can click to go on to fill out what we call an inclusion form. And it just takes a few minutes to fill that out to get your program entered into the website. We will then take a look at that on the back side and approve it, and it will show up on the map within an hour.
The type of work you've been doing, you've been a really good example of a citizen in our community, and I really appreciate that. And you know, the type of work and looking out for our victims, I really commend you on that. And you know, you're kind of a superhero to me in the work that you're doing, so I appreciate that a lot. You've been awarded you've been given an award recently. What was that award? And it was here in Rapid City that you were given that award.
It was, and part of the reasoning it was explained to me for that award was for some of the assistance I've been able to provide in the tribal communities. The Visionary Voice Award is what that was called, and it was awarded by the Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Program here in Rapid City, WAVY, Working Against Violence Incorporated.
Awesome.
And I was very honored and humbled to receive that.
Gayle, thank you so much for coming on our show tonight, and keep up the good fight for us. I really appreciate what you're doing. I want to thank our producers. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Prairie Edge for hosting our show tonight. And I want to thank you for making Oyate today a part of your night. You've been watching Oyate Today, brought to you by Native Sun News Today.